Hello and welcome to World of Darkness Part 3. We'll be resuming this episode right where the other episode left off, and in case you didn't see it, I would highly recommend clicking the first link in the description so that this will make some kind of sense to you. So there I am in the forest, trying to get my wits about me, trying to figure out what to do, and the only thing I can think is, I gotta make it to the city. You know, a different person might have thought I need to run to the country, maybe I need to avoid population, but I can't help who I am. I'm a city slicker, I'm not a survivalist, I'm not a wilderness guy, it's chilly outside, I've got no tools, no nothing, and I know that I have absolutely no chance trying to escape this megacity into the wilderness somewhere and like build a log cabin or something and not get caught. So my best thought is I can go to the city, I can pretend to be homeless, I can live in the sewers, I can figure something out, but thankfully, it's almost 100% dead during the day. I can see this from where I'm at. Nobody is out during the day because they're all vampires. It is just like a complete ghost town. No cars, no people, nobody seems to be awake. I'm free to walk about as I see fit, and as far as I can tell, everybody is completely asleep. I do see a few homeless vampires sleeping in some shady spots, and that sounds kind of like a funny thing, but they're just, you know, vampire hobos. They look like they haven't maybe had enough blood to drink, all scrangly and poor, and they kind of hiss at me when I walk by and throw bottles and make hobo noises. I guess that doesn't make them any different than our hobos, because they have a tendency to do that when I walk by anyway. And as I'm walking through this little suburban neighborhood, I do see what appears to be a very freaky child look at me through a window and panic, and I just realized what I saw was a kid staying up later than he was supposed to be, and he sees a monster out in the daylight. So I panic and I decide, you know, I've got to book it, I've got to get out of here, I've been spotted already, and I've got to go somewhere safer, but where? And it occurs to me this is to my advantage because I can go anywhere in the light of day in this dead city, and they can't. They're mostly trapped in the house. They're not able to do too much. So I just book it, and I run, and I zig, and I zag, and I pretend like I'm on an episode of Cops, even though nobody is chasing me. I'm just praying they don't have like a daytime police force or a day chopper or something like that. And I probably make a whole bunch of ruckus and scare a whole bunch of vampires, but I get quite a distance away, several miles, getting more to the heart of this big city, and I find a public park. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I'm just kind of running on fumes here, and I just like, you know what? There's no cameras in this park. There's no people in this park. It's completely dead. Nobody saw me came here. I am going to go in this park, and I'm just going to chill, and I go and I climb up a tree. It's a, you know, public park, and I get a little bit up the tree, probably high enough to where it would be dangerous if I fell off. Like if I fell, I would break something, but well out of sight. Nobody would ever look for me just sitting in the tree, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you know, I need to chill. I need to relax. I'm in shock. I need to think a little bit. I need to catch my breath. I need to come up with some kind of plan of action, and then I fell asleep. It just kind of happens, you know, you just use all of your energy. I was tired before I even got on the plane, before I had combat, before I ran a marathon. I was completely exhausted. I was just beat. I was done, and I fell asleep. I have no idea how long I fell asleep. It must have been at least 10 or 11 hours, because when I woke up, it was already well past sunset. It was night, and all the vampires were out, and there I am just sitting in a tree, stuck, scared, alone. But something strange was going on. They were just doing normal things like normal people. I look around the park and they're talking, the old ones are walking, some people are exercising, some of them are on dates trying to smooth up their vampire women or men, some of them are drunk, they're texting, there's like sanitation workers in the park doing their thing, cleaning it up, and it just seems like a normal city, except they're all vampires and they kind of smell like people, and I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but I get this brilliant idea that, you know what? I should be able to pass as one of them, because in the airport staff certainly didn't recognize me as a vampire. They thought all of the entire people on the airplane were normal until they smelled the blood or saw the blood. And I'm thinking I should be able to just walk among them and pass. And you know, some of you might have sat in the tree, but I thought to myself, I'm not going to be able to sit in this tree forever. I'm not going to be able to scavenge forever. I need to get out, and I need to learn some things. And you know, as long as they don't recognize me, it should be okay. So I hop down, I dust off so that I don't look like such a terrible mess. I steal a coat from a sleeping homeless dude so that I can cover up kind of the blood on my shirt and stuff, and I start taking a walk around, and the plan works brilliantly. They all think I'm just another vampire, albeit a shabbily dressed and confused one. I look vampiric because they look perfectly normal, and as I walk around, I realize it really is a vampire world. There aren't free humans, this isn't a city, the whole world is theirs. The news on the TV, the things people are talking about, the little bits I can glean from cell phones, global vampire domination, and they control everything. They all buy blood, which is farmed from humans. They have jobs, families, they have vices, they have stores, etc. The blood I can explain a little bit. It's just kind of like they buy it. They buy it, they drink it, they buy it in different rarities, A plus, B minus. They buy fat people blood, thin people blood, certain ethnicities. They cook it, they spice it, they make blood pudding, they make blood anything. Some of them like a little meat on it. They're barbaric. It's just any type of way you can cook blood, or boil it more realistically, lots of boiling and stuff like that. They do blood. But there's small differences in the world, as you would expect, because the world is so different than our own. There's no anti-aging products for sale because they don't age. They do have a lot of makeup and some designed to cover wrinkles because there's a small subset of the population that were turned when they were old, and unfortunately they don't age backwards. They're just kind of stuck old forever. And, you know, there's less health services. Their hospitals, their health, their medicine was all very simple. There was still some, it still existed, but it wasn't nearly on the same scale as what you need for humans, and for some reason there were no guns. I have no idea, maybe it was world harmony, it didn't really seem that way. It seemed like they had plenty of things to argue and fight each other over, you know, I don't know, resources or whatever, but there were no guns in this vampire world, none whatsoever. I did manage to learn a little bit about humans. They were considered extremely dangerous and were farmed only by professionals. Their scary stories were humans on the loose, breeding uncontrollably, killing everything in sight. Like, human farmers was kind of a top-tier job, like it was considered hard to do, and it was so strange to know that you're one of these bad guys, you're one of these mythical things, and there were a very few of them that had day jobs, but they hated it. They griped and talked about it a little bit. Seems like they could just barely function during the day, and from what I can tell, they did seem to live forever. It was kind of like, it's kind of like Drifter is in this alternate vampire New York City, and I'm just walking around kind of wandering in store to store, learning as much as I possibly can. And I did manage to learn a lot, but then I realized something. I'm cold, and it's actually quite cold outside. It's a long time before dawn, and I'm missing a lot of info about this world. If I'm going to have to survive here, if I'm going to make my way home, I need information. I need something. I need to know my enemy, right? So I ask around, and I get them to tell me where the public library is. The public library seems like the best place to go. It's got free internet, free books. I'm assuming, because it's like one-to-one like our world, right? It should basically be the same. And I'm figuring, hey, it's indoors. It should be heated too. Well, unfortunately, it's not heated. Seems like vampires don't seem to mind the cold, and they really hate the heat, so it was still pretty chilly in there. I go in, and I think I'm going to go to the history section, maybe the science section, biology, something. And I walk in, I just kind of take it in for just a second because it looks familiar, like all libraries that you go to. And the fellow working book return calls my voice, Brad. You know, my voice is Brad. I'm like, what? He calls my last name, which I'm not going to say on here. And I freeze. And I don't know who's calling me over. And I look over and I see that it's a familiar face. It's an old high school / college buddy of mine. He's working the book return at the vampire library. And he's like, yo, Brad, over here. I freeze, deer in headlights, full panic. I'm like, is this an alternate reality? Is there a vampire Brad he's expecting to see? Is he human too? Does he know I'm human? Is he going to rat me out exactly what's going on? And he sees the look of terror on my face, of pure panic. And he's like, dude, just chill. We've got a lot to talk about, okay? Like, I can tell. It's okay. He's like, it's okay, just calm down. I'm going to take a break and we're going to go talk. And I'm like panicking. He tells his boss that he's going to go take a smoke break because, I don't know, apparently vampires still smoke cigarettes? I don't know. And he pulls me to a pretty dead area of the library, which coincidentally seemed to be the history section. They don't seem to be very interested in history. It's very forward-looking, they are. And he opens this up, so he pulls me over and he says, I saw that mess about the airport on the news, but I never thought it would be you. They said that one person, one human escaped and made it into the city. There's a manhunt out for you right now, but they didn't have any pictures. They all panicked before they could get any. It's like, of all the people that could be here, it would be you. Not a soldier, not a professor, not a scientist, a medic, not a doctor, not anybody useful, just you. And I'm sitting there thinking like, all right, well, you know, screw you too. It's like, thanks, man. I can't remember exactly what I said to him, but it was snarky and mean. And he's like, it's okay. It's okay. I felt the same when I get here. He's like, I didn't mean it that way. He's just like, what, I've been here all alone with almost no other humans for so long. We saw that there was going to be a new one, and we were really hoping for like an elite sniper or a theoretical physicist or somebody that can get us home. And I'm like, well, and all we get is you, and you're not good at anything. I'm like, all right, well, thanks, dude. You're really helping me out here. But we argue for a bit. Anyway, that's kind of how we were in like high school and college, always talking smack to each other. I kind of interrupt him like, all right, well, Mr. Wizard, how did you get here? And his answer is simple. He's like, it's just my luck. And I actually didn't ask for any more explanation because this fella, his name is Guy. I'll call him Guy. That's actually his first name. He always had bad luck. If something terrible could happen to somebody, if something ridiculous, improbable, or just unexpected could happen, it would happen to him. It was just his luck. I didn't even need to ask for any more explanation. I knew how bad his luck was to me. And he took his time in the empty section of the library where nobody was listening to explain to me that the whole world was vampires. And then I already knew some of this because I'd been walking around. And he said that free humans are hunted and almost always killed or occasionally put into farms, and that humans are considered extremely dangerous. And I ask him like, okay, what is here? How do we get home? And I get bad answers. I don't know what here is. It's obviously an alternate vampire world, and I have no idea how to get home. None whatsoever. He's like, there's nowhere for us to go. There's no free human society. There's no nothing. He's like, there's just us here. That's kind of a scary thought. We talk for a little bit, and I ask him, how long have you been here? And he explains that he's been here for 2 years. And I ask him, how are you working this job? How have you survived? And he explains that he managed to get a fake ID. He got a job and tried to blend in. He's not fast, he's not fit, he's not brilliant, but like any human being, he wants to survive. All living things want to keep on living, and his best way to keep on living was to just live a lie. He realized, same as I do, that we look almost identical to the vampires, and as long as we can get a fake ID and hold down a job, we could live in a vampire house reasonably and blend in, and it wouldn't be a big problem. But he talks about how he's going to have to change jobs in a year or so that they don't see him age, because vampires don't age, and if one of your coworkers is aging, then he's a human, and that's no good. At this point, my stomach loudly grumbles, grum, 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 and I realize that I haven't eaten in a day or so, and I have expended so much energy. He hears it too. We look at each other, and I ask him if there's anything to eat, because I didn't see anything but blood out there. There was not a single scrap of human food, and I'm really not feeling like drinking blood. He tells me he has a source. And I'm like, oh, this sounds real sketchy. And he says he'll take care of it. He takes off work early, saying that he's not feeling good, and he takes me home for dinner. First food I've had in forever. It was like real, like lean, like some rice and just like some sad little scraps of meat and just like leeks and stuff. It was not exactly a fantastic dinner, but I was glad to have anything. He let me crash at his vampire apartment for a day or two, and that is all for part 3. We'll be moving into the finale very soon with part 4. I hope you've enjoyed it thus far. If you have, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.